Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we talk about Linux projects such as a distribution. Like tonight, it's Fedora. Who's excited? I'm excited. Are you excited? We're talking about desktop environments or applications. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate. And with me today, I got a fantastic panel of people. I've got Dale, Mike, or full scale for me, Mike, because we have another Mike. We have Jinda, we got Rocco, Warthunder. We have a Leo, Eric, and Mike Chilson. How is everybody?
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Yep. Tippity-toppity? Anybody in the tippity-toppity range?
I am definitely tippity-toppity.
See,
Leo's always tippity-toppy.
Leo is the best. And, you know, I
Middling.
fly, you know, for work, I fly like 3 hours away from Leo. One of these days, I'm just going to have to, like, drive out there. Everything's like 3 hours away, though, in Texas, isn't it? Is that kind of how it works?
Oh yeah, yeah. Anytime I want to go anywhere big, it's 3 hours.
Yeah. And I fly through DFW a lot. Imagine I should probably like stop and like go see the 8-bit guy's arcade that he's got over there. I don't know if you know the 8-bit guy, but
I don't know that guy. I know they have a video game museum, which is absolutely fantastic. You should definitely spend some time over there.
yeah, one of these days I got to do that. You know, but it seems like I'm squandering all these opportunities, you know, to see Leo. But like I don't feel like it'd be awkward. Like, hi Leo, how you doing?
Listen, we'll just meet up in Fort Worth, man. It'll probably take you about an hour and a half to get from where you are on the airport to get to Fort Worth, and then it'll take me a couple hours to get there. See, so it'll be all right.
I work out of Lubbock, well, Littlefield, but
So you pass me by on I-20.
yeah. In fact,
probably.
I look out the window. I'm like, I wonder if Leo's driving. Is that his car there?
Hey, Leo, meet in a very public place because he likes to throat punch people. Okay.
See,
No,
and that's exactly why I was saying Fort
He
Worth.
does like to throat punch people.
But even when I want to, I don't. See, I have self-control, you know? I think it.
That's the manager coming out in you.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, when
but I
the
don't-
cameras are rolling.
Right. Or if it means a trip to HR.
That's never
Yeah.
a good thing.
I'm
Exactly.
very familiar with trips to HR.
See,
no.
now, I don't doubt that at all. Like, at all. Really. I mean, yeah, I don't.
I mean, you're just a natural troublemaker, Jinda. You know.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like his middle name or something.
Yep.
Or his title. Anyway, because I'm fantastic at just throwing things off the rails, that was the first line. How is everyone tonight? So if you'd be so kind as to hit that like button and subscribe if you feel like it, but better yet, join the chat here in Discord. Provide your voice or face if you like. Your input helps me to talk less, and that's exactly the way it should be. It's a community thing, not a Cubicle Nate thing. So you can also join our Discord and Telegram to keep the conversation rolling. Be sure to do the straw poll also. Go to cubiclenate.com/polls. See, I just said it's not a me thing, but yet then I just threw myself in there. And on the docket for today, we're going to be talking about Fedora and all the fun that we had in using Fedora. So that's the primary conversation. But first, what are we doing on Linux and tech? So before we kick this thing off, I guess maybe we did this with you last week, Warthunder, but you were actually talking about an interesting tech project going on there on your desk. You showed me some broken parts that I'm guessing came out of a fit of rage. You throat punched your laptop. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you know, as you do on your way to HR, you throat punch your laptop.
Right. That makes sense.
Just real quick, where is the throat on a laptop? Is that?
I think that's the hinge.
I mean,
Maybe the hinge?
yeah, probably the
Okay.
hinge. Probably the
Got it.
hinge. I'd guess that.
Yeah.
So this monstrosity that is in many pieces right now is actually my, at least at home, my personal daily driver laptop. As you do, you tear your daily driver apart. I've had this thing for about a year. It is a ThinkPad P53. It's a 9th Gen i5 with an NVIDIA Quadro. I use it for some light video editing, CAD work, things like that here around the house. I bought it here about a year or so ago for, I think I paid like $300 for it or something like that. because I needed a good hefty laptop to do stuff around the place, do CAD. I've got a 3D printer now, so I get to print all kinds of things. I guess apparently things I can throat punch and get myself into HR. But I've had
Would that be with
getting
your
it
wife?
apart.
Is your wife like HR though when you're there?
First. But I don't know if it'll
Understood.
come across on camera, but this panel didn't come off right, and I've got the corner of it's broken off, and just what I'm dealing with is, I forget what year this thing is, but it's like decade old plastics and whatnot just breaking down on me and not. I've gotten to the point on this thing where even just opening Vivaldi sends the CPU straight to 90 Celsius. Which doesn't do you a lot of good when you're about to open SolidWorks or something like that and make it go thermonuclear. Also, I've noticed that the previous owner, they didn't do any thermal paste, clearly. Somebody else has been in here and the display cable was loose. So I would occasionally be using it and the screen would just flicker out and then flicker back on. And I'm like, that's not right. So I'm trying to get it apart. She's fighting me awful hard. But I've been putting this off probably for about 8 months, and it's just time. And the only reason I didn't want to do it was because of how much I have to tear apart. My whole desk over here is just covered in parts like the keyboard and everything like that. One fun thing I will note is that I did not know I had 4 RAM slots, but I have 4 RAM slots, so I can't take this thing out of the house because I'll probably be mugged by somebody for my RAM.
That's reasonable. Is it DDR4 or 5?
DDR4. So I have a mixture in here. I bought it with 16 gigs, and then I recently bumped it. I think this is an 8 gig stick. Took an 8 gig stick out of it and added another. So I had a 32 gig stick of Crucial, and now people are going to cover my house down for my RAM. That's a 32 gig. So between all of these, I have like about 48 gigs of RAM, which is plenty for DaVinci Resolve and plenty for SolidWorks for what I'm doing VMs and things like that. So that's the other thing too. A lot of these distro stuff I was doing on virtual machines and stuff, and I need more memory for that. So, but I'll be a few days trying to get this thing back together probably. It's kind of funny because I've bought quite a few machines. In fact, I have like 3 right here. And over the years, like I've bought a few, even since I've met my wife and we got married and whatnot. We cleaned out a bunch of my stuff about a year and a half ago to a year ago. I bought this thing, and within like 2 months, she's like, "This is the best thing you've ever bought." It's like by far. And it's like, well, it's because I didn't buy like you really have to rip the LCD off because it's broken, I always thought that was funny. Because of her, I have higher standards. I used to use laptops and stuff with DVD drive covers missing and keys missing, and I had one Latitude. It reminded me, though, the one you have, Nate. You have a D630? I think you said you had?
Yes, I do.
I had one of those in college when I was doing my engineering course. And it was funny because I had a kid, we were doing one of the welding labs, and I forget why, but he had gotten some grease on his gloves or whatnot, and came back over to my laptop to fill out a spreadsheet I had up, and just filled the keyboard with grease. And he was just like, "Ah, crap, I just ruined your laptop." And I was like, don't worry about it. I literally took the butt end of the screwdriver we had, popped the trim up. I didn't have screws in the keyboard, so I just ripped the keyboard out. I didn't even disconnect the ribbons. I just pulled them right out. And just chucked it in the bin, and then grabbed a keyboard. It was from the lab computer, and set it on top and said, just keep working, I'll fix it later.
That was actually what I really like about the Latitudes is they were very serviceable. I think they might still be. I don't know if they are, but the ones from like 10, 15 years ago, man, you could easily work on them. And I think like Eric and I, we've talked about that serviceability. A lot of the Dell stuff has always been really good on their Latitude range and above.
Yeah, like
I mean, I think
They've folded a little bit to the pressure of like soldered RAM. I mean, I think kind of everybody does to some degree, but at least they still give you the upgradability option of a free slot and, you know, a dry bay and stuff like that. So, and that's what's so cool about the Latitude tablet is it's basically a really shameless rip off of a Surface Pro. But instead of being glued together, you know, you can just take little screws out and there you go. There's all the components. So
I just redid the battery in mine. I don't know what model yours is, Eric. This is a 5285, 7th gen.
I have the 8th gen, so like the next newer one.
But it's literally just screws down here. And then basically you flip it over and then you pop the clips. There's no glue. You just pop the LCD and lay it out. And then I replaced the battery in mine here because it was finally shot. Other than RAM, you can put a second SSD in it. It's like an NGFF. You can do a different Wi-Fi card. It's got a cellular card slot.
Yeah.
NFC slot. There's...
Yeah, mine's a 5290, so it's just the next newest one. But yeah, I love it. I had to use it. I mean, I use it a lot anyway, but I had to use my power brick or my charger for this. I'm on my third one. The original one lasted a year. The last one lasted 4 years, and then now I'm on my third. So, yeah. I looked. I had KDE. I was playing around with KDE Connect, and I looked on the phone, and it said 2% on my laptop. I'm like 2%. Like what the heck? So I like. Well, it's because it couldn't charge. It was just enough power system, and actually almost enough because it would stutter. I didn't realize what was going on. Something else going on. So it was just enough power, you know, just enough wattage to run the system. And of course I've got like a bunch of dongles chained together, and I've got, you know, the mic stuff. I've got a fan running off of it. I've got like all this extra power draw stuff. And, yeah, so it was like just enough to keep it going. And, anyway, so yeah, I just got another one, and you can go on eBay and get like the original like OEM ones, but they want like $70 or $80. So I just bought the $20 one, and like, you know what, if I get another 3 or 4 years out of it, it's fine. It's just a basic like 130 watt. The only thing different about it is because it's an XPS, it's the 4.5 millimeter barrel plug instead of the thicker one. Yeah,
I had one of those because I had an XPS that burned up that had one of those. I've got a slightly newer XPS in the closet, but it takes USB-C. But it has a similar problem with the left side USB-C port, where it
I hadn't realized
charge enough.
So the USB-C charger I have with the Latitude, the 5290, is only the 85 watt one, which I hadn't realized. And so I mean, it runs perfectly fine and it charges fine, but apparently like the bigger one, I don't even know what the bigger one is, probably like 130 or something. But and the battery is at like, I think 60% health or something. So like I can only get maybe 2 hours of battery life out of it. But honestly, I don't really, I mean, I could get a new battery, but they're not cheap. And it's like, I only paid $140 for the whole thing in the first place. So it's like, you know,
then
I can live with 2 hours. Yeah. I mean, if I told my daughter, like, if she really wanted it to use it for school or something, then I would get her a better battery for it. But, you know, as is, it's good enough.
Yeah, like
I'm
this
cheap.
Latitude tablet of mine, like $25. I got a new old stock Dell battery for it from eBay, which I thought was a steal. And I used it for about 3.5 hours yesterday, and I was only at 42% after like 3.5 hours. So this thing just does pretty well. My ThinkPad here is not as good, even though it has a battery, good health. This poor thing pulls so much juice. It has a 170 watt power brick and will not charge on anything else but the 170 watt Lenovo power brick. Even if you dock it, it has Thunderbolt, full fat Thunderbolt ports. you cannot charge off those ports. And if you put a 90-watt Lenovo brick in, it flashes the light that basically says, screw you, I'm not charging off of this, but I recognize you plugged me in. It doesn't count. So I need to buy a second one for this thing. But and the battery life on this thing, if I turn the Quadro off, is about 3 hours. But I don't use this thing much off the wall, so I've got other devices for that. I have a little 2-in-1 7390 Latitude with touch.
Okay.
That's what I take when I go out places, and that thing gets like 6 or 7 hours of battery life on an old 7th gen processor. So that's what I took this last vacation. I took.
That's what I've been so surprised about is like I didn't know if an 8th gen i5 was going to be, good enough, and it's been great. I mean, it's as powerful as I need it to be. 15-watt TDP, and I mean, it's not like, would it be better if it was a little fast? Yeah, of course. But you know what? I've arrived at the conclusion that basically, it's a matter of like money versus time. So like if you're not willing to wait the extra 5 seconds for something to open or process, like throw money at it and you'll fix that problem. But if you're willing to just have a little bit of patience, like, I think it's great. I'd like to see what maybe the next newer model was like at some point, if I could find one for as inexpensive as this one was. But for now, for what it is, it's great.
Yeah. And to be fair, a lot of my machines are old, and I've picked them up at, flea markets and thrift online and things like that. So when I pick them up, I expect them to have problems. This is one of the first ones I've bought in a long time where I bought it knowing that it was in good shape and that I wouldn't need to do anything immediately to it. It's just, the decade-old thermal pads have given up, and I may even tear into this thing and decide to wait and put some thermal putty or PTM 7950 on the cooler, because this thing is pretty high performance for what it is. I mean, for rendering, that Quadro just absolutely just tears through everything I can throw at it. I mean, it keeps up with my desktop, and my desktop's no slouch.
Nice. That's what I tend to do that too. I've my main desktop, which is like where I do all of the process intensive stuff, and like it's in my office, and I never even actually sit in front of it very often because it's just not comfortable to sit in there. So I connect to it remotely, and that's where I run like all the server process stuff, and it's got Linux Mint on it, and it just kind of chugs along, does its thing, and then I can use these laptops as almost like a client, client server model, and just let that do all the heavy lifting.
It's kind of what I've switched to. I was trying to rebuild, and I still will build something for it, for my TV PC, but I've kind of realized that both I've used Parsec now, I've used Sunshine and Moonlight, I've used Steam in-home streaming, and part of it's probably because I upgraded to gigabit networking here at the house, and that really helps, and trying to do in-home remote desktop and stuff. I went to a whole Unify system because I got tired of like really cheap routers and TP-Link and Netgears that just didn't work very well, and having to go out and reset the garage all the time. And it's like, you know what? Let's just put a little bit of money into the place. I can take it with me when I go, and I put a nice Unify system in, and it really helps because that's the other thing I do because I use SolidWorks. I have a Proxmox machine that has Windows inside it with a GPU passed through. So when I need to use SolidWorks and I don't have, this big guy, I can just remote into my house, pull up Parsec into that system, or Sunshine, Moonlight, whatever you want to use, remote in, and then I can just pull my full fat SolidWorks up on that machine and work if I need to.
That's really cool, actually.
Scale is pretty awesome now that I know what I'm doing. Anyway.
Yeah.
I've been using Sunshine and Moonlight for a long time. I really like those projects.
I prefer Sunshine.
It's pretty neat.
Yep, you need them both. Can't have one without the other.
Aye.
Eric, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Do the the what is it? The Bundy down the hand down the pants.
Yeah. I haven't watched that in a while, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I watched it a couple years ago just to see if it was it's as like terrible and cheesy as I remembered.
Yeah, the
Ow.
it's been a while, but just it was over the top, campy. I think they did it on purpose, Otherwise,
Oh, at the time there was never anything like it. I mean, it was like the more in your face, vulgar, like All in the Family. You know what I mean?
yeah, it was like
So.
a then modern on the Family, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, by the way, that would never fly on TV today, at all.
No, probably not.
Nope. So, Warthunder, I have a question for you. So the part of your laptop that broke, which did you, was that potentially broken before you unscrewed it? You think?
It's possible. I mean, what broke was basically the very corner where that screw kind of goes in to hold that down. There's like a plastic tab that kind of latches.
Mhm.
And it's possible that was cracked beforehand and I just never noticed it. But
Yeah, because I can't imagine just
I see,
unscrewing
it's
would cause it to
2020.
break, unless you like partially unscrewed it, then you just reefed on it. Gave her the old Magilla Gorilla, and
I mean, that's how you end up in HR, right? You throat punch people and
right, yeah, or your laptop.
but yeah, I don't think it'll be a big deal. I mean, I put it back together and I know somebody who I'm married to that knows their way around hot glue and tape and everything else. So it'll be fine by the time I get done. I could always put some Plasta Weld in there or something. JB Weld.
Make it good as pretty and twice as new.
I have to get in there one more time, allegedly.
Good and new is twice as pretty. Yeah. What is this a 16 or is this like a 17-inch?
It's a 16.
Laptop? 16. Okay. Oh, and 4 RAM slots.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know it had 4 RAM slots. I thought it had, because some of these from this generation, Lenovo started soldering RAM to the board.
Yeah.
So I just thought it had 8 gigs soldered on, because my T15 that I do all of my administrative stuff here at the house on has 8 gigs soldered on board. And no, this one literally just had like another 2 RAM slots under the keyboard, which I haven't seen that since gosh, I think that was Latitude D610. I think I had a RAM slot under the or under the keyboard, and then a RAM slot under the bottom, because you could cheese it, and you couldn't do 4 gigs of RAM because the 32-bit processor couldn't handle it because it didn't have PAE support. But you could jerry rig it with a couple RAM slots to do like, I think it would recognize up to 3.25 gigabytes of RAM if you were lucky and you had a pretty good binned one. Otherwise, you could do 3 gigs of RAM.
That's probably back in the DDR, probably before DDR2. I'm thinking.
I believe, yeah, because it would have been a Pentium M mobile. Mine had the Radeon X300 graphics in it, so I think you're right. I think it was DDR. Paid $10 whole for that machine, Nate.
Wow.
I ran
Big
Windows
money.
8 technical
Big
preview on it. I beta drove Windows 10 beta on that machine.
Wow. You really pushed that thing beyond its life, man.
It was great until one time before Windows decided to start enforcing the system requirements, and part of that was execute disable bit, NX, and PAE, and my CPU had none of those things.
Oh.
So I just came back to blue screen of death.
Yeah. That's kind of the way it goes, I think. It's not like Windows enforces anything arbitrarily now anyway, right?
No.
Of course not. Never. Sarcasm.
That's what Linux is for. Who needs system requirements?
That's right. Just do whatever you want with Linux. Well, cool. Well, thanks for that. I like these little hardware projects. So if anybody else has like a hardware project they're working on, or something they're just tooling around with, I would love for them to share it, you know, on another Linux Saloon for sure. Because I don't know, it's kind of the fun part of the hobby is the messing with machines that have personality, I suppose. Maybe that might be a way of putting it. And so I think I think that's just fun. Well, all right. Let's see if I can find the. I don't know if we had any replies on the polls.
Where is Eris tonight?
He's probably busy. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Eric?
I had a question, just general curiosity about people that have home-built desktops, and whether you build a new one each time, or if you just keep like replacing parts and make it like a Frankenstein build over time.
Not anymore. I can't afford it. Have you seen RAM prices these days, Eric? I went to Best Buy the other day. I know I'm just taking this over real quick, but I went to Best Buy the other day and I was looking at 6400 megahertz, 64 gigs of RAM for a new AM5 build, right? Well, new AM5 has been around for a long time. And it was $1,200.
New to you.
It's $1,200, Eric. Just like you could buy the whole machine for that a few years ago.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's $1,200. What 64 gigs of RAM a couple of years ago? I mean, 250, something like that. Went up $1,000. But to actually answer your question, yeah, I would Frankenstein it like piece by piece. The bigger parts would get swapped out. So I'd have a graphic. So the way that I would do it, right, is I would try to wait at least 3 years before I did a full build or anything like that. So on the off years, I would say, well, the graphics card are getting a little long in the tooth. That one came from a previous build. I guess it's time to upgrade that. And then the CPU, and then maybe more RAM or something like that. So once a year, I would try to save up a little bit of money and get those singular components. But during COVID, graphics cards went crazy. During the AI boom, RAM went crazy, as well as storage went crazy as well. So
just about everything.
Yeah, it's much more difficult to do that kind of thing now. So I'm still stuck on AM4. I have a 5800X. I bought the 5900 XT, so I could double my cores before. Those CPUs are still pretty affordable, but it's all AM4 stuff. So yeah, before, yes. Now, no.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people will do stuff like, memory upgrades or a drive or like a video card, but I've used the same case through 3 builds now.
Oh no.
I mean, it's just a massive. Yeah. It has
those got to get changed.
Well, I have an 850 watt power supply that has survived. This is the second build I've used it on. I did replace it after 2 builds ago. So, and it's got the nice modular setup with you can choose to include cords or take them off. And it has some kind of like extra power saving setting. I can't remember what it is right now, but anyway, so like every time I go to do something new, I'm like, this case, I'm not really gaining anything by switching out the case. I don't care. It's under a desk. It's not like I'm worried about, making it look nice or anything. It's very much about functionality. It's got, I want to say like 6 drive bays. It's, deep enough that you can put a decent cooler on the CPU. Like, I mean, there's nothing about it that makes me want to get a different one. I think the only thing is it weighs like 30 pounds. I mean, it's a ridiculously heavy piece of equipment. So, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, it's like I've swapped out the motherboard for just basically do the motherboard, memory, CPU, cooler, just like that piece, but then reuse all the fans and the DVD drive and like all that stuff. There's no reason to.
Eric, you don't have a DVD drive in there.
You better believe I do.
Do you really?
I have internal and external.
Wow, I have an external one. That is true. I do tote around a USB one. That's for sure.
And Leo,
Leo, I'm
never
going to
know.
blow
I
your
have a
mind.
library
I bought
card.
DVDs today.
Oh, so earlier today I was telling Eric that I went to a secondhand DVD shop yesterday and I bought the movie Tombstone. So, for
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh well, no, you got to drop off the rest of the trivia there now. You can't just stop there.
Oh, right.
I'll be
So
your
as soon as
Huckleberry.
right. So as soon as I said that, there were a couple of responses that I'll be your Huckleberry, but that's not actually the line. It's I'll be your Huckle bearer. Because apparently on a coffin, especially back then, they called the handles on a coffin a huckle. A hucklebear. Yeah, huckle. And so when you would carry someone, you would be the huckle bearer at their funeral. So there you go. Just in case you didn't know that.
Oh, I've been
Little piece of
misquoting that
history
line for
nobody knew.
20 years.
I think you
I'm a
just,
nerd that way.
I think you just like
Oh,
Yeah.
30 years of my life. Just
Yeah.
you're welcome.
I mean,
You're
it did kind of
welcome.
deflate the line a little bit. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
No,
Yeah.
I
I'll be
think
your
it makes it even better.
Hucklebearer.
Huckleberry doesn't make sense. Hucklebearer means I'm gonna bury you. That is
Yeah.
intense.
Good point. Yeah. All right. All right.
Makes it better. But I
Rewrite
will
that
say,
revisionist history there.
I just, War Thunder, if you're not putting like PlayStation 2 games on there, what are you doing?
So I actually have a Power Mac G4 mirror drive doors in the closet that I have been putting together for a while. And so I replaced the power supply in it. And the thing now is the hard drive I have in it, I need to actually check because it takes enhanced IDE. You can't just put any IDE drive in. It has to be specifically eIDE. But I need to get Mac OS X on there. And, well, I don't know if you've tried to scour the internet for old recovery CDs. They kind of don't exist, especially when your device that you have is like a one model year thing that Apple did back then and then said, screw PowerPC, we're going to Intel. So you can't
Now we're
find it
back.
at all. So I have DVD recovery images from the Macintosh Garden, but I started trying to write DVDs, and I don't even know if it'll come across. I don't know where the hell they're over there. All of my DVDs have rotted. So a lot of these DVDs I bought from back in like 2006, 2007, and I had friends who would just give me them for free. They're all DVD-Rs. They're like Mac stores. I've got some other ones that are like verbatims and stuff like that. They literally, just from age, have completely delaminated. So the actual coatings of the DVD are separating and whatnot, and so they're all bad. Every single one of them. There's
it's
probably at least 150 of them over there that are all just bad.
What is the brand of them? Was it verbatim?
They're mixed.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Ooh, Memorex.
What? No,
Memorex
those are
never forgets.
CDs.
You're dating yourself, man.
I know. I burned so many
You got to catch the
CDs.
wine glass before it falls.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Warner Brothers had a bunch of them that went bad. So these are Memorex. And it's not going to come across on camera, but there's like a film on these that just doesn't look right. And when you look at the bottom, like it doesn't look right at all. And
I can see myself.
It's all of the DVD coatings and stuff on it has just come apart, and none of these read up in my DVD writers at all.
Yeah. See, they didn't
I've
tell
got-
you that 25 years ago. They didn't tell
Nope.
you. It all said like archival quality and stuff like that. I still
Mhm.
remember my verbatims actually said that line on it. And yeah, nobody ever tells you that 25 years later they're just gonna like peel apart.
Don't.
Yeah.
I have a set of looks like I bought the Dukes of Hazzard on DVD, and that was out of the generation where Warner Brothers pressed those and had a bacterial infection get into the DVDs from about 2006 to about 2008. All the ones they pressed had a bacteria inside the DVD ring. And so if you have them and you look in the center and you see what looks like a flower flowering out from the inside, that's what it is. It's that bacteria rotting finally after all these years.
It was someone manning the machines eating chicken nuggets as the discs kind of roll by.
It's because we didn't throat chop this person and go straight to
See?
HR that now we have rotten DVDs. It comes full
Exactly.
circle.
That's right.
But yes, I will make good use of these and try to keep these from rotting if I at all can. I don't burn too many DVDs anymore, but I used to.
Nate, I seem to remember like 10 minutes ago you said something about a straw poll, maybe.
I did, and we can get to that. But I want to
got
say
sidetracked.
one quick thing.
Eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's whatever, you know. I mean, we're just the structure is just kind of there for, you know, so there's something to follow. Well, like, you know, when things done, looking to see if it reconnects. So, okay, reconnected. All right, yay. Satellite must have moved out of picture there for my Starlink, but there you go. That's all I can get over here. So anyway, as I was saying, I remember like when I was like, I've been a nerd all my life. In the late 80s, early 90s, there was when CDs were starting to become like a thing. I remember a nerd I looked up to at that time, you know, older guy who's in the technology field. He said, yeah, you know, these CDs will last 1,000 years. These floppies will, you know, or 5-10 years max, but they will degrade. But I have discs for my Commodore 64 that still work flawlessly, and those are from 1980 something. And I have CDs that have quit on me. So,
And it's because you followed the advice, Nate. It's because you didn't take the floppy disk and stick it up to your fridge and then use a magnet to kind of affix it to your fridge, right? That was really the reason why they lasted.
Oh, that was the secret to longevity.
That actually makes me just laugh. Like, okay, I just had this thought. Disaster recovery is kind of a big thing that I'm pushing at work. I should take a floppy, say, you know, company name disaster recovery with a magnet and stick it on my board.
Yes. Yes. You should.
Yep.
That's going to happen. I have a bad disk here someplace too. That's going to happen.
I mean, it will be.
I mean, you have floppy disks, but they can hold what? Not even a picture anymore?
1.44 megabytes. You can compress a picture down that small. I guarantee it. Maybe just one, but you can do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't
I like
that
the
funny?
idea.
Like,
I like the idea of being super patronizing to people. It's like, your software's so good. I'm going to put it up here on the fridge.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love it. But yes, we do have a straw poll. So Fedora is what we were trying this week, and it was our exploration. I go to keepinglink.com/polls if you want to vote real quick. But it's what best describes your experience using Fedora. Now, I have seen one comment so far, and that was from Ben's Cloud. He says, I keep my eye on Fedora. I got Fedora 44 KDE virtual machine. I could totally see myself running it. So there you go. That's a high praise from Ben's Cloud.
for possibly trying it. I heard the way that was phrased. He's not using it. He would possibly, maybe one day in the future, use it. Is that right?
Keep an eye on it.
Right. I'll watch it from my Arch installation or something. Or Storm OS, I guess, right? Is it that, Ben?
Yeah, Storm OS.
Got it, okay.
But he says it's running on a virtual machine, which is, you know...
No.
I run most of the machines, I would say that aside from my main machine, but I run a lot of things in virtual machine now, like either remotely or locally. Like I do a lot of things just in remote machines all the time now.
You don't get the farm to market, you know, black screens of death in a VM. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the organic, natural
right
kernel panics.
Right, you don't.
You do miss out on those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you kind of you're missing a layer of it, which is okay. I mean, you can do that. It is totally fine to run Linux that way, because I do that all the time. But to really fully get the experience, you got to run it on some hardware.
What you need to do is like me, where I'm running this show right now off of Fedora Cosmic in my IC dock, but I don't have a tray for the IC dock so you can pull the drives in and out. So it's just hanging off the SATA connector. So surely nothing will bad happen with that, of course. But it is working.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's running in RAM, right?
You can get away with that with an SSD, though. They're so lightweight. I mean,
not anymore. I mean, not if you want to save a few bucks, because they're kind of expensive now. So you got to baby the ones you have, which is why you want to store all of your images on floppy disks.
Yeah,
right
on the fridge with a magnet.
I still have my giant sleeves of DVDs, and I've got floppy disks, and I got a little bit of everything. I can, if I wanted to really go back to physical media.
I think we
I
should go
got
back
one
to
thing
zip
for Nate
disk.
on that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pretty
Zip
fantastic.
disks.
Yeah.
They were the answer.
I remember when I finally retired the zip disk that I had to use for years, and I was just like, it was like the Office Space printer scene where it was just like, I want to destroy this thing and never think about it again. They were
Did you?
great. I mean, they definitely filled. Oh yeah. Oh, with great malice, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But
was so good.
I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, but man, they were slow and just awful. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that was-
its comparison at the time would have been the new burgeoning technology of CDRW,
mhm.
and those were even slower. Well, slower writing, but not actually.
Did you
that
ever
terribly slow
run
reading.
one? Did you ever run one as in like an RW disk? Like you just had it and you would actually use it like
yeah.
that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
me too.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
very fickle because I'd write things on there and share it, but like you get like those multi-session, the multi-session.
Yeah, the
play
session
video.
would close or not close, and yeah.
Yeah, but like
And then
I wrote on there,
certain computers would read it, and yeah.
and certain couldn't. Yeah, it was such a pain. And then
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Well, you just have to do it right. That's all.
You're holding it wrong.
Yeah, of
Obviously.
course.
Now, for Cubicle Nate, I won't distract him too long. I do have Star Trek 25th Anniversary on the
Oh my
the original
gosh.
floppy disk that a buddy of mine bought me with the manuals and everything. So I do still have some floppies and stuff around here. The one I
Oh,
was
I do
pointing at
too.
earlier is my drink coaster because it died a long time ago, and I decided to use it as a drink coaster after it stopped formatting.
Yeah, this one is back from my IRC days. This is MIRC 6.02. You gotta be able to download those MP3s.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, somewhere I've got Plot Boot Manager on a floppy disk, but I don't know what happened to it.
It's pretty awesome. And what that has to do with Fedora, I'm not sure, but
Oh, because Fedora still has FD0, and you could actually mount a floppy drive into the operating system. So there you
yeah,
go. Tie in.
I have
Use your
I have
boot
a
diskette.
I have a floppy. Well, actually, I can probably show it to you. I've shown this on the stream before, but I want to create like a quasi retro thing here. So it's not the right color, but I got like a floppy and CD-ROM. There's USB. There's nothing exciting here, but just to keep over here. So whenever I do need a floppy to copy, I can do that.
Don't copy that floppy.
I knew that someone would pick up on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the guy that's been showing his age. Yeah.
For sure. So
Yeah.
Fedora.
Would you download a car just out of curiosity?
Yes, if I could.
No, but I would
absolutely.
download Fedora.
If I could download like a Tesla Model X and just have it like appear, yeah, I would definitely do that. I like the doors. Anyway.
Yeah, they're good band. Good band.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. What is my favorite Tesla? I haven't listened to Tesla in such a long time now. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so Fedora. We'll see what the results are on this. So in first place at 43% is it's amazing. That's what people think. That's what their experiences with Fedora. Second place at 21% is it's good. 14% in third place said I didn't have enough time. I was too busy. Work, life, IRL. In fourth place with 7%, it says it's okay. And that actually tied with that is I'm not interested. And also Tex Penguin also was tied in there as well. And tied in there as well. Nobody said did not have a good time with it, and nobody gave an other with a response. So that was Fedora. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and then hop right into, and I don't even know when we started talking about this straw poll at this point, but whatever. Yeah. So we're gonna get into the exploration of it, and so we do have some rules. This is the intent of this is to talk about the different aspects of the operating system, discuss our experiences with using it, and so this is a discussion that should be objective, constructive, and helpful. So rather than saying things like it's trash, it doesn't give us a lot to go by, but if you say, hey, it doesn't have this feature, or I can't do this very well with it, don't like it, that makes total sense. And so go with that. So remember, this is a labor of love for some, so we're not going to poo-poo on it. We're also not going to ignore any of the lowlights either. So it's one of those things. So a real quick about Fedora. It is a community-driven Linux distribution sponsored by Red Hat. It is known for being one of the most cutting-edge major distributions while maintaining excellent stability. Fedora's mission is to serve as a platform for innovation. It ships the latest stable software, promotes open source technologies, and acts as an upstream for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and follows the first philosophy: first to ship new kernel versions, new desktop environments, and new technologies. Fedora releases every 6 months and provides strong community support for about 13 months per release. So something I may have missed in there? That was just like a summary. Maybe I should throw out there. No?
The only thing I can think of is Fedora very often is first to market with a lot of the new big changes, right? Systemd,
Yep.
things like that.
Mhm.
Pulse
Yes,
Audio,
PulseWire.
and Pipewire both hit Fedora before it hit anywhere else. So
I thought it was
just an interesting little tidbit.
PulseWire and
I think
Pipe
there should
Audio.
be a new one called Pulse.
Yeah, Pulse Audio way back in the day, and then Pipewire more modern. Both
Right.
hit Fedora first. Yeah. Pulse
did.
Wire is what I call it because it's a good mishmash.
It's true. They do seem like they lean a little bit heavier into the more modern, the more modern technologies or newer technologies, which has bit them in the butt a few times. Got them got them the Eye of Sauron on them for a while for certain things.
They are oracles, if you will.
So
Mm-hmm.
and not to shoehorn in my preferred distribution.
Well, you would never do that.
No. But not to shoehorn them in. Dale doesn't mind. He's although muted right now, he definitely doesn't. I will say Tumbleweed, even though it's a rolling distribution and often has things first as well, it's probably a bit more conservative than Fedora in many ways, which is kind of ironic. So, for instance, like how long did they drag their heels before going from AppArmor to SE Linux? Basically they waited until Fedora had it all worked out before they pushed it. Things like that. Quick to roll updates for their current technologies, not necessarily quick to adopt new technologies like Fedora is. That's kind of it. So Wayland came first to Fedora, I would say, or one of the early ones they first to push it. I think it's been across the board, which has made them interesting. Always made them an interesting distribution. Never a dull moment over there in Fedora land, for sure. So installation. Who here has installed Fedora?
Oh, God, kill me.
I installed it several times.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
I still
Fantastic.
have it.
I'm talking to you from it.
No.
Oh, damn.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
And it
I have it
hasn't
on my
kernel
Latitude.
panicked yet.
I mean, I can stop talking to you. That's fine too.
No, absolutely not. So they have some different options for Fedora if you go on their on the download page, which actually I'll just go ahead and bring it up here. Look at that. See, this is one of the things I'm doing now, is you can actually see. So latest release is 44. You have different options here. You got the Fedora Workstation, Fedora KDE Plasma Desktop, which I'm glad that this finally has. Look at that. I would say it has center billing. Look at that. I like that. Community Server OS, Cloud, Fedora Core OS, and Fedora IoT. And then they have other spins, so alternative desktops, so you can get access to CE Cinnamon, LXQt, Budgie, Sway, i3, etc. They also have the Atomic desktops, so the immutable asterisk with GNOME, KDE, and so forth. Also, then they have the then you have the spins off of that. The whole UBlue. Is it UBlue? Am I saying that right? The whole, I want to say Blue Origin, but that's a spaceship.
Silverblue?
Silverblue, yeah. And then Bazite and things like that. So they're not Fedora, but they're built on Fedora. So a lot of things out there are built on Fedora. And in many ways, it's just an opinion, So, and
Bluefin. I'm sorry, Bluefin's what you were trying to think of, by the way.
There's Bluefin.
Yeah, Bluefin.
Okay.
That's one of the immutables, kind of downstream, right?
Yes.
I think so.
George Castro and all that.
Yes,
That's how
exactly.
I cheat. That is actually how I cheat. I don't run regular Fedora. I do run Bluefin myself.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
still part
Yeah,
of it.
Bluefin, Bazite, and Kinoite.
I think so. That's the KDE one.
Yeah,
Silverblue.
that's right.
Silverblue's GNOME.
Yeah.
Kinoite is KDE.
Yep. And Bazite is more focused on gaming.
Mm-hmm. Although I gotta say, we're not talking about Bazite. That's a different distribution, different whatever. It would have its own thing. I really like Bazite. I really do. It's tippity toppity for me. Anyway, so I guess from this point here, who's did anybody have any trouble installing Fedora?
I had trouble.
Well, I like the new. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. Installed it VM, installed it laptop, installed it on the old NVIDIA Potato, and then when I got to the old laptop that's center up there, I tried to install Fedora LXQT. It will not install. It will not come to the install screen. All the other ones do, but for some reason LXQT will not load the installer on that one. That was the only trouble I had. Everything else did fine.
So I like the new web UI.
Absolutely.
I think is what they call it. Anaconda Web UI. Yeah. So it sort of simplified the older Anaconda installer that Leo loves so much.
Bring back the OG, baby. I love the OG Anaconda.
I know you do. You may be the only person I know
Hub
that does.
and spoke for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who doesn't like it.
It actually reminds me of Agama a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody would be out of place by saying that they didn't like Anaconda as it's in its previous incarnation. Yeah, I don't think anybody did. I think I might be the only one that did.
It was bad.
I don't dislike the hub and spoke as a concept. I just dislike the way that they implemented the UI, where the button would be in different spots, and it just was a little sort of like jarring in terms of the layout. Things that they probably pretty easily could have addressed, but obviously didn't see it as an issue. So and it wasn't about the underlying. Yeah, and that was only my only ever. Yeah, the thing I only ever complained about was that, it's just the UI was confusing, not the idea. Because I agree with you. I like that idea of like, go do a task, come back, go do a task, come back, and then at the end summarize it and give you a chance to, make changes if you need to, execute, boom. So,
because the alternative would be making a change and then being like, oh, that's right, I forgot, and then back.
Do you think?
Oh, one more back.
Do you think the things like TurboTax, whatever, those like flow process for doing a thing, kind of isn't that the right term, but like poison the well of the idea of the hub and spoke style of installation?
I think it wasn't. I think it wasn't that software. I think it was much earlier in the process. I think it was Windows Wizards. Yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Back in Windows 95, I think when that style really started to kind of become prevalent. Yeah, I think it poisoned the well. But your point is correct. I think 95.
But you think it actually came sooner? The wizard concept basically is what did that. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
I thought the installer was awesome. I didn't have any problems with it at all. I think the only thing that I am concerned about, well, not really concerned about, but the only thing that I would say that they could improve on is I have a high DPI screen and I have to go, I got to find, I just don't, it bugs the crap out of me that I have to go find the display settings that are this tiny to go change the scaling when it should be an option in the installer. Like it should be, I see you have a high DPI screen. Do you want to switch to scaling?
I don't even think it should ask you. I think after a certain point, at a certain size, it should just do it.
Well, I understand that everybody's different and everybody has their own likes, and maybe I wanted it, whatever, 250 scaling, and somebody else only wants it at 200 or 150 or whatever. That's fine, but there should be something there. And I'll tell you, just even past the installer, like I was able to go into the installer because you boot into the live disk and you can go into the settings. But then when you actually get it installed, you're not in Fedora yet, and you're doing the welcome part. So you can't get to the settings to scale the monitor. So now you have to do the whole welcome thing without being able to see anything, basically. It's this tiny. You might as well just next through everything because you can't see anything.
Points for Windows 11. They do it. Got him.
But other than that, I mean, that's just a quirk of mine. And you're running it on regular, normal monitors that you're not even going to notice that. But if you got a high DPI screen, you're gonna be in trouble. I mean,
Like
you're
a
not gonna be in trouble. It's just a pain.
4K or 8K? What do you got going on there?
4K. I
Yeah.
mean, but still, so now in my current setup, I run my 77-inch screen, TV screen, as my
I was
monitor
actually
for all of my stuff.
Rocco, I was gonna
Wow.
make a joke. I was gonna say, like, you know what you should do? You should just get a big old TV and then use that, and you don't even have to scale at all.
I have a 77-inch screen.
Yeah.
The type is still this tiny when it comes on. That's why it's got to be scaled.
I've gone down the TV route myself. So I've got a 4K TV as well, but I don't scale it at all. It's scaled at 100%, and that's just how it is, man.
How do you see anything, dude?
It actually, so coming from my 32-inch 1440p screen, it's the same size. Like the text is the same size as it was prior. It just the screen is bigger now, and now I have so much more room for activities. And again, kind of use the dagger to kill off any way that I would move over to like tiling window manager or anything like that. So I still love my floaters.
But
I
other
got
than
a few in
that
my eye
one thing,
myself.
it's fine. Like the installer was great. It was actually so good. It was actually so good that at the end they give you a little QR code to go to the Fedora whatever. It's either the GNOME discussion page or the Fedora discussion page to say how your experience was installing it. And I had more trouble signing up for an account there that I got frustrated with and left and didn't leave any comment than I did installing Fedora. So,
oof.
So I use a 4K screen when I'm in my lab, not here in this workstation, but it's like a 30-something inch. I leave that at 100% because the way with my framework at 130% scaling and that at 100, it's about the same back and forth. So I don't know. It's like having 4 1080p screens, It's like 4K.
well, that's why I said I understand that everybody's different. They might not scale it like I would scale it or whatever, but at least give the option there during the install. And especially during the welcome screen where I haven't used Fedora in years. So I'm looking to see what the welcome screen is saying and what they're introducing you to, and I can't even read it. So
which version did you
I feel
use?
like it's a pretty...
What?
Which version was it? GNOME, KDE?
No. GNOME.
No, okay.
Yeah.
We say, Leo, before I rudely interrupted?
No. I was just gonna say I think it's pretty safe. Like if you're rendering at the 4K resolution, it's pretty safe to just go 200%, and then it's at least readable when you're going through any kind of dialogue or anything like that. And then if you like it at 100 or you like it at 300 or whatever you want to do with it, you can do that after the fact. But everything is nice and readable at 200. No matter the size of your screen, right? Like it can be those teeny tiny little, 15-inch 4K screens or whatever. And 200 still, I mean, it's 1080p when you scale it at 200%. It looks like a normal 1080p screen, just nice and smooth.
Yeah.
It's true. You know, I never thought I would need any more than 1080p until I got the framework laptop, and I'm like, I can't do 1080p anymore.
Spoils you, man. Spoils
It's
you.
really weird how that happened. Like I was just adamant that anything more than 1080p is a waste, and then I was wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
That's like,
I thought 60 hertz was fine, and to be fair, it is most of the time. But I got this monitor from a Micro Center clearance. You know, the dangerous part about going to Micro Centers, you don't go over to the $600 monitors. No. You go over to the rack that's off to the side that has the $200 to $300 clearance monitors. And well, I could buy one of these. That's not too bad. I have one dead pixel right here, and it was 60% off. And so this is a 1440p 144 hertz gaming monitor. And I'm like, well, crap. Now I actually enjoy gaming on this. It's not the same anymore. Like,
No.
Yep. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's very difficult to go back.
The motion clarity at 60 hertz is just so much better than the traditional monitor. The response rate's so good.
120 is where it's at.
Yeah, 120 and above. I mean, honestly, at 100. Like once you hit 100, you can really tell the difference between that and 60. And then you go a little higher, and there's just a little bit of extra clarity or a little
What they're all
smoothness
missing
that you get.
You got to get OLED.
Oh, so speaking of that TV, that was one of the that was the reason that I went with that TV over a traditional monitor. I could get it bigger at 4K at 144 hertz and OLED, and oh man, the contrast is silly. It's again, now I can't go back.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's real tough. The sim rig I have over there, I put a Vizio TV on. That's a 4K OLED Vizio TV, and yeah, it's only 60 hertz. That OLED, man, that looks nice.
Bought this monitor a few years ago now. It's a Alienware ultra wide, so 1440p ultra wide, but it's 165 hertz with OLED. It's delicious.
no burn-in.
Best monitor I've ever owned. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the OLED's really improved. How many years ago did you buy that? What, you said 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think 3 years. I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I get
I will
my early experiences with OLED were really very
No,
the early days
A little shy of 3 years. Yeah.
were not good, and that soured me from OLED. And then I have a Pixel phone from work, and that OLED screen is way nicer than the LCD. I want to basically still say no to OLED, but I really can't. Like it is nice. Do we know what the power difference is between? It seems like OLED in theory would draw less power because LCD's got all those filters above it that it's got to push light through, and so I'm wondering how that compares to OLED in its power consumption. Because I know that I've read somewhere they're a little bit warmer than LCD when they operate because of the nature of how they operate, but I really don't know anything.
I think that was true for older OLEDs. The more modern ones are actually more power efficient than they used to be, and they do a pretty good job. I mean, even I moved up from LCD on many things. I mean, what's left of my laptop over here has an LCD, but I got a few that have even LED screens, and while the LED screens do hurt battery life a little bit, just getting to step up to the OLED, I think the modern OLEDs probably do a pretty comparable job. I do remember reading when OLEDs first came out that they were pretty hard on your batteries and they burned in and things like that, but they've kind of figured those out by now. Even my cheap OLED over here, there's not even options for remember how they used to do like the pixel shift where they would intentionally shift your screen image around they don't do that anymore because they don't burn in like that anymore. So it's pretty cool.
A PC laptop is still an LCD. It's like a 240 hertz. But my Mac uses a mini LED, and that's actually pretty nice as well. It's not quite OLED, but it's really close.
It helps with font smoothing and whatnot. It just looks so much better. Even I can tell reading on my phone versus reading on a crappy LCD from like 10 years ago. I do notice it. My eyes are more noticeably tired trying to read on an older LCD just because your eyes have to do a lot more work to be able to read the text on there. I know it's a total first world problem because I used to have really crappy CRTs as a kid that you couldn't read anything on those half the time.
Well, I think most of that was just because it was so bright, and I mean, essentially just a flashlight in your face.
Man, I just remember
the
so
good
many
old
headaches.
days. Yeah.
And then you
I
run the
loved it.
magnet next to the tube and then watch it, go all weird. And
Yeah, that's right. But then you got to degauss it, and it so good.
That's good stuff right there. You make me miss my having my tube TV, tube monitors. Don't only Sean just pointed that out too.
I think a CRT monitor is more expensive than any of these monitors we've been talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Those
true.
things drew quite a few watts from the wall.
Yeah.
the last one I had almost gave me a hernia trying to move it out of the house and whatnot. Like I was down for like a couple days afterwards. Like I pulled something in my leg, and that was at that point that I knew that even if it was crappier, no more CRTs. I would like to have one these days for like, I've got a Pentium 4 machine and that Power Mac. I would like to have a CRT for those, but you know what? I can buy an adapter to my OLED back here and then just be okay with it. It's not quite the same.
I think it's the look of it, like the nostalgia of it. Like there's something different about plugging in your Nintendo or your VCR into one of those older style TVs. I mean, the look of it.
I have a baby one. I forget what it's like, a Sanyo or something. It's like the little like 10 or 12 inch like tiny ones. I got one of those for the Zapper, so I could play Duck Hunt and whatnot. Because I haven't figured out LCDs with that yet.
Yep, and being super close to it or whatever, and playing Super Mario. Oh man, so good.
There's a natural blurring that happens.
He's one of those guys that puts the gun on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're that guy.
Cheese it.
Yeah.
Just so the dog doesn't laugh at me.
Well, the thing is, like, you could throw balls in the house and it could hit a tube TV and that'd be fine. That same ball hits a flat panel TV and that flat panel TV is done.
Yeah.
It's game over.
Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah,
come on. Everyone loves the Wiimote through the TV.
We didn't do that, but yeah.
Good times. All right, so Fedora. Updates. Did anybody have it like I didn't use GNOME, but I used the Plasma. And I kind of feel like updates on Fedora, this is not a positive or a negative statement, this is just like a matter of fact statement, is a little bit like doing updates in Windows. Because when it's done, it says I have to reboot.
Yep.
And it's not done. It downloads the packages and then it installs it when you reboot.
Okay.
And that is only if you use GNOME software or Discover to do that kind of thing, right? You can still get around it. I know there was a big complaint when they started implementing that. You can get around that if you just DNF.
I complained.
Yeah.
Well, you can't. But I complained about it, and I was told something very important by my friend Mr. Grubbs, which was
Fedora's making you do
probably
it
wrong
the
anyway.
right way. Yeah.
No.
Fedora is making
doing
you
it the right way.
The right way. Because if you have libraries that are uploaded or updated rather by your package manager, and then you go to launch another application that uses those libraries, guess what? You're loading libraries that are inconsistent with what you might already have in memory.
Yeah.
So you might end up likely end up experiencing bugs and issues that are just going to annoy the Fedora support people when you tell them you didn't reboot before your updates.
I personally have no problem with that style update, downloading and restarting. I know there's a lot of people in the Linux community will have a problem with that. Like, they're just going to. But, I mean, you can compare it to, it's slightly like Windows, but it's way faster than Windows.
I mean, there's kind of a reason that all other OSs make you do that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
But
they're all wrong. Yeah, it's the children who are wrong.
Of course.
I mean, you can still do it wrong if you want. You totally can.
Yeah.
DNF update. Do it wrong. That's cool. But
the great thing about Linux, it lets you do everything wrong if you really want to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
as long as you ask nicely.
I've always done updates in the terminal for a long time, but like the difference is like if I update my system, I will go ahead and reboot so it'll reload everything. Versus like this, like if you apply now, I did Fedora Cosmic, so I don't actually have that functionality. I have to either do it in the terminal or I don't know if the Cosmic store will actually load the RPM updates. I didn't actually check that. That's my bad. But I just did it in the terminal, and I just update and then reboot and then come back up and it loads everything back up and whatnot. I know that's not how everybody does it. My wife is atrocious. Who will leave her system running for like 40 or 50 days. And I'm like, would you just reboot your PC, please? Like,
I'll do
Well,
that
like
too.
the difference in Cache where it'll update and then it will recommend a reboot if
That's
it
a
won't
bridge
even
too
show
far,
you
Rocco.
which things. It'll show you which packages are the
Right.
reason that you should update to or reboot. Yeah.
Well, you can restart some of the, and I don't know what the details are when it asks you to restart certain services that you've updated, but it'll say, do you want to restart these services? And you can say yes or no, but then it'll also, like I said, recommend a reboot when it thinks it needs to. So, I mean, that's a difference in philosophy, I guess, of allowing it to update and then recommending a reboot versus just downloading it and basically making you do a reboot in it. But
Right. And honestly, like it's just like okay, even if it's not required for you to reboot for based on the packages you've installed, like it's just a good practice because you're kind of cleaning out a lot of file handlers and other processes that are running like and then you just start with like a fresh machine. It's like I don't get it. And you know, Wayland now is starting to support like resuming sessions. So even then it's like you just reboot and then your stuff comes back up. So it's like it's a total non-issue. If anything,
yes,
like
I think
agreed.
it's hygiene, right?
the
If you know, well, okay, maybe that's a touchy subject with our audience, but like it's
Hey,
just you know,
I
like
Yeah,
shower
it's
yeah.
just
once a month
computer
whether I need
hygiene,
to or
right?
not, Adam.
That's right. Actually,
that
you
before
bathe
or
and
after
sometimes you
HR?
even change the water.
That's right.
Sometimes. But why would I
Actually,
do that? I just change my water. I just see that's a good analogy there. Do you want to like let loose all the water in your bathtub so you can take another bath? Or are you just gonna just add more water and use the water you're already kind of running with? You're just updating the water you kind of splashed out, right?
You use water?
That's how it works, right? No, I
no,
use
he's like a
sand.
chinchilla.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
dust
use
bath.
dude wipes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
but like I
dude
said,
wipe.
the other thing too is when you compare it to something like Windows, Windows will, I mean, there's times where Windows restarts while doing updates at 3,
Yep.
4 times.
It
where-
happens. It happens to my wife all the time, and she gets so mad. Yep.
Yeah, and it's only ever like with Fedora, it's only ever asked you to reboot once, and then you're good. Then you're updated. So that's
Well, and it's also never going to do it automatically without you participating in the process. That's the thing that Windows does that really drives her crazy. And she's like, well, doesn't this bother you? And I'm like, well, I always saved files. Like I just was habitual about open a file, save it, and then as I'm working on it every so often, Control S. Like it's a habit because I was so used to Windows crashing randomly.
All that trauma.
So yeah, exactly. You just learn how to deal with it. And so
Learn through
she
trauma, yeah.
doesn't have the same. Yeah, she trusts that it's not going to fail as often as it does, and then when it does, she gets really upset about it. So, anyway, my problem with updating is that the update process is often being called too frequently. Like it's literally set to like once an hour. Nobody needs to update their system that frequently. You know what I
It
mean?
is
It's
very
just kind of
naggy.
it's unnecessary, right? I mean, make it at minimum every day, and I think it should probably be like every few days or something. So, and I know I should ignore it, but like right now I'm on Pica OS on Plasma. Now they have their own updater that's using the same icon as Discover, and I have Discover's icon, and they're both sitting in the tray, and I'd like to ignore them, and I kind of do, but it just draws my attention, and it's like a problem I want to fix. That then if I have to reboot, it's a whole thing because now I have to close everything down and come back in. So it's just, you know, if you're not on a rolling release or you're not on a system where you have to deal with rapid updates, then it would just be better, in my opinion, to not have the defaults be so aggressive. Anyway.
I also want to mention that at least in Discover, I don't know about, tell me about GNOME Software Manager. In Discover, you can update and you can do installs without a password. Is that something they're doing on all of the?
Correct.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't
you
it?
you don't need a password for the Software Center.
Yeah.
You don't even need a password to install. That's the part I found very weird. I like it, I think, but it's very strange in Linux.
Yeah, I wonder how
Well,
often.
because-
I mean, is that you're talking about how the frequency, but is that a KDE thing? I mean, because I don't see the nagging in the GNOME Software Center. Like,
It's
so I don't
possible.
know. I
It's
mean, like,
possible.
I just don't see it like often, like unless I open it up. It's
Let me see. I'm trying to see what the settings in Discover, if there's a way to tell it how frequently to check. I don't see it.
There is a setting.
There is?
It's
Okay.
actually it's actually in Package Kit.
I have mine set to weekly.
Oh, I see it. Configure updates. Oh, it didn't actually go anywhere. I still think, listen, I get that people give freely of their time. I can't complain about that, but Discover is still unbelievably janky for as long lived as it is, and core to the system itself. I still have so many weird problems with it, and I think the UI is strange, and like it just still feels like of all the wonderful things that I've experienced over again in Plasma this last 4 or 5 weeks, Discover is still that one of those glaring, like, how is this still a thing?
So I would say I'm not gonna say you're wrong, Eric, but I think you're wrong. But I don't think I'm gonna say it to your that you're wrong. But
your face, he's not going to say it. So
right. I know I'd rather say it to his face. But so if you use Discover back, in the early days, like 2018, 2019, we'll say, I call it's probably not early days, and then you compare it to now, it's actually really pretty darn good, comparatively speaking. Also, if you compare Discover to using something like the Windows Store, then it's gonna be more on par. But you're probably
But I
comparing
think
it to
that's a
something like
different
Bazaar.
point. I think that's a different point, though, because you're both correct. Like, you're both correct, because Nate, you're saying that compared to what it used to be, it is awesome, and it is. But I think Eric's point is that as far as we've come, as far as KDE has come, it's still got some problems.
There's a really funny update from Nate Graham about the Discover Store, and if you're because they're looking for project leads on things, and he speaks about if you're going to complain about Discover being slow or whatever, that's not going to be helpful. But if you want to take on a project and then whatever, you can do that. So I just think that's funny. But I use Discover all the time for installing applications, specifically like because I'm at this point where I find that I'd rather just install the Flatpak for things. Like and then because any third-party applications, I don't want to install more software into my core system anymore. That's not 100% of the time, but largely. And so the with your systems, if your system's configured correctly, you don't have to. If you have to install system packages, you have to still put in your password on OpenSUSE. But for Flatpaks, you don't have to, and so it's a much nicer experience in that regard. So I don't know. And also, I want to say one other thing, like on Discover and the reboot thing, because we talked about that. So I don't reboot my system all the time, but I also don't update all the time, and I'm on rolling release. But for me, Discover only tells me to reboot when a running system has had libraries affected that need to be rebooted. So it's not all the time, and I kind of like that. I think it's a little bit of a middle ground. Maybe it's not as hygienic as Adam would like, but I feel it's a good middle ground. It's like, I didn't work out that hard. I don't have to take a shower before I go to work, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Your coworkers love you.
I got my own office. They can just get out.
Why does it always smell like Nate's cooking popcorn?
Does he eat asparagus all the time? What's going on here?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that's a good middle ground. But I think whatever's fine on that. I'm not like real picky one way or the other.
It's just I guess I'm so spoiled to things being, in most cases, just, very well executed. And, it's strange to me. And I guess it is just really my hang up. Because you're right. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. It's not like egregious. It used to be unusable. I mean, that was, and I agree with you. Compared to that, it is so much better. But yeah. But
if you compare it to like
Bazaar, I guess it's a difficult.
Like Bazaar,
Bazaar is like.
Yeah. It's great.
Bazaar is fantastic, in my opinion. Yeah.
So I feel like they kind of smoothed out the issue, like whatever they're doing Bazaar, but I don't know. I haven't really dug into that real deeply. So.
I actually enjoy Bazaar so much, I donated right away. I was like, I want to support this project.
Yeah, Nessa likes it on Bazaar quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in terms of presenting software in a way that's easy to, see what's there, what's new, what's in any given category. It's and then the details of each one, all of the useful information that's there. Screenshots and links to everything, and I mean it's really, and they're going to add, I think, donations at some point. It's going to become more like a very full-featured, front end for that vast, collection of software, which is that's how you make a package system work as well as it is. I mean, obviously, it's the opportunistic one that was there at the right time for Immutable, and it's aligned with a lot of the more powerful or vocal people in Linux, and they've executed very well. And I can't imagine the bandwidth that they're using on FlatHub. Like how many people are downloading stuff from that site and updating all the time too.
But you're a GNOME guy, aren't you, Eric? Primarily.
No, I was. I mean, for a decade, pretty much, and then I've just recently gotten into Plasma.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take time to get used to it. It took me a little while too, but my early days, I used the early versions of GNOME, and I liked it. But now, as much as I still try to give it chances, it's just I feel like I stumble in there. So I think it's all in what you get used to more than anything else. I don't think that Discovers. I mean, there was a time, but I think it's much better now. And now that I'm used to it, it's just you don't even give it a second thought, really.
So a lot of the software, like I default flat packs in most cases, unless it's a system level something that I know should be, Even then, I don't often. So the problem with the other thing with Discover is it doesn't really show like low level packages. When you go in and you search, you're really only seeing like userland type stuff and not really like system level stuff. So it can be a little frustrating there where you kind of have to drop down to do DNF depending on what install or system you're on. So
that might very well be by design though too, because I think, as much as Plasma and everything else is, people complain that, it's too detailed, it's too much. You could get to the same place in three different ways or.
Well, that's the GNOME software where you can do a drop down and pick the source. That's really confusing to me.
Yeah, but I think for this too, I just I always looked at Plasma as a tinkerer's joy, but at the same token, it aggravates a lot of people too. And I think where Discover is concerned, I think it could be one more thing that, because we're more on the enthusiast level, you miss something like that where you get the average, if you get somebody that's newer or just looking to use an operating system, they're not going to probably even think about something like that like you and I would. But that's just my opinion, but I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, you know. But I
Well,
get where you're coming
my return, I mean, my return to it has been unbelievably successful compared
Yeah,
to
good.
where I left it. And actually, then having gone back to use GNOME just through testing, new releases and stuff, and needing to do, and my excuse was always, well, you have to add the 5 or 6 extensions that you need, and that's still true. But it's absolutely sort of like, I mean, today Rocco was asking me about session support in GNOME. Is there a way to, and there's an extension for it, but it's not updated for 50, for the 50 release. So, it's that kind of stuff where there's a certain fragility there that unfortunately, if it's key to your experience and your workflow with the system, and you're reliant on those things, then that's not like a stable situation, and
But are
that's a
you
shame.
talking because of the update sequences? I mean, or not? Because the more, like, I've got a bunch of flat packs in there, way more than I probably should have. But I noticed that like every day there's something, or if I'm going to turn the thing on, put it on sleep at night or whatever, and all of a sudden it'll show up that there's updates. But the thing about I'm losing my train of thought here now. To your point, what you were saying, say it once again. I'm sorry, I just kind of got a brain fart here.
I'm not sure where you were going, man.
No, that's what I'm
You
saying,
still
what you
going
just
back
said.
to Discover or to the frequency of updates, or to
What you
GNOME
just
itself
said.
with the
I just completely
extensions?
lost my train of thought. I'm sorry about that.
Well, so I was talking about the difference. So to me, those things that I was adding to GNOME in order to, like, the system tray, the
Right.
dock, there's just certain things
Yeah.
that are core components to like how you interact with the desktop,
Right.
and the potential for those to break because they're very much a third party,
Yeah.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I never kind of understood, why they wouldn't bake something like that into GNOME right out of the gate. I mean, I know they've got their own tweaks, but you always tend to put in, the additional uh there's what is it? There's GNOME tweaks, then there's, what's the other one? There's another one, extensions for extensions, and then there's, I think, a third. Again, that shows you how often I'm using it. But I remember you still have to go in there and do all these add-ins, and then you hope that they don't break when they do an update. Oh, I know the point I was going to get to. With Fedora, it's not, even though it's kind of like a rolling release, the one thing that I've kind of appreciated is that they don't update, as much as they update stuff, they don't update a lot of the important or core or the kernels the minute they come out. They'll hold back a week maybe or so, and then all of a sudden you'll get it. You know what I mean? Because they want to make sure they're vetting everything and it's all working. So if if there's GNOME 50 stuff that's you may need that would be in there, you might have to wait a week or two, and usually it comes. At least that's what I've noticed. I mean, it's not the typical rolling release like Manjaro or something like that. That the minute something is released the day of, you're getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I was getting a little, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little, and I thought about it, I thought, well, they've always done it. Like the what was it, 7.014, which is coming into life. It's getting down to the wire here, and then finally the other day it just updated to the 7.1.3. So it always comes. They always get it out, but they're not like sometimes it's right at the wire, and other times it's maybe a week later or so. But and I've had I think I talked about this before, when I went from 42 to 43, the in-place update. That was good. And then the first set of updates that came out, it broke the system. But within less than 12 hours, they had it fixed. So it was, I mean, that still happens. But I think that still happens with a lot of distros, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, if you're leaning on, it depends a lot on the release cadence and the process itself. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I still contend a lot of these things are what is pushing, the emphasis on atomic, immutable type stuff, is because you just don't deal with any of that when you're using an AB root, or an image based release. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've just had an interesting experience, like I said, with switching to something that I was pretty adamantly like, I love GNOME. I'm going to be on GNOME forever, and and just sort of, that's what I appreciate about Fedora too, is they pretty much cover just about every desktop. There's a spin, there's a some sort of release that has anything you're looking for pretty much. And that's so if Fedora from like the underpinnings, from the base system itself, and you're comfortable with RPMs and the way that they architect their system, then it's like the desktop component is almost trivial because you can just deploy any of them. And that's also true both of a normal traditional release and also now for immutable type stuff. They've got atomic releases of, just like they have the spins, they've got atomic releases of basically the same desktops. So there's even if it might not be like a Kinoite or a Bazite or a Bluefin, there's a Fedora silver blue kind of atomic spin, if you will. So yeah, I give them a lot of credit for, because you think about Ubuntu, and Ubuntu has flavors, but those are all like independent teams, and really the only Ubuntu that is official is the GNOME release, right? And then so you have the third-party support, which I'm not saying like they're considered second class or something, but they are considered flavors. They're not like technically official Ubuntu releases, right? Whereas Fedora does encapsulate this huge variety of desktops, and not only that, then you can go in, and there are other ones that are like focused on media production and scientific use, and so there's even greater sort of utility there. So yeah, Fedora's. I read something about this recent Fedora releases as being sort of like, they almost feel like what Ubuntu used to be in terms of like user support and trying new things, and so yeah, and I have grown much more fond of Fedora than I used to be. The RPM Fusion stuff used to be a real pain, and the drivers and things like that. And I feel like they've done a lot to make that process much easier to deal with in terms of like, just ease of use and day-to-day practicality of like how much pain or friction is there for the random person to just jump in, install Fedora, do the initial effort of, getting things configured properly for the hardware, and then just moving forward and using it.
Yeah, the one repository I've had to do was add copper for the cooler control when
okay.
finally switched over, because it needed that to run the fan adjust. Because as much as I have them set in my BIOS, I don't want to always be going in there if I want to adjust or tweak something. Where this is nice, and then I also use LACT too.
Do you use Fedora regularly? Like, is that something you run?
I've been on Fedora since 42.
Okay.
And it was probably, I was on it probably a few months before it went to 43. So if that gives you a timeline. So I've been on it for a while. And
Does anyone else?
Huh?
Sorry, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, finish
I really
your
have
thought.
no intention of switching. I don't,
So you found a home on it. Okay.
Yeah, and
I was curious how many people were
on.
testing it as like a new thing, or if anyone else had already been running it.
No, I've been on it.
I've been running for a minute.
Probably almost a couple of years, I bet, or whatever. And even Mint. There was a time when I settled, and we still use Mint. My wife's on Mint and whatever, and it's a great system. But you talk about something that's kind of, I don't want to use. So many people have referred to it as cobbled together. It's not cobbled together, but there is a lot of, when you look at it, if you took a recipe for a cake, it's probably the one that's got the biggest recipe with it, with everything put into it. But the funny thing is I was on that for quite some time too. I started slowing down with the hopping quite some time ago, and as soon as I settled on Mint, for a while, you know what actually caused me to hop after that, and I went to MX for a while, which was Plasma, and then this was, I was using spices, and all of a sudden they just were broken. And I'm going, what is going on? And I talked about this, I think, on one of the shows. And I couldn't figure out what was going on with them. So I thought something broke in Cinnamon. So I hopped. Well, then I went in and thought, I want to find out if there's something I saw. I looked up. I should have probably done it before I hopped. Well, what they did is they were changing over their website and their servers, and they never notified you. So I thought they broke the system, right? And it was just kind of a foolish move on their part to just not say, hey, we're going to be changing over a server if using Spice. I mean, whatever, a simple notification would have been nice, but it caused me to jump off of it for a while. So, you know, that's why I say every operating system, I don't care if it's Mac or whatever you're on, they're all going to have their things, but you have to go with what you find most comfortable. And I've been trying to not hop anymore. I really have, because it's just every once in a while, I might do a fresh install of what I'm using. It's just now I've got so much stuff integrated in here and added. It's like it'd be a kind of a nightmare to mess around with it with what I'm doing. But even with I'm all AMD now. It's not that I'm necessarily pro red, pro green, that kind of. I used NVIDIA for a long time. I just got tired of having to manually install the drivers and then go in and do all the force and all the different check boxes and whatever to make it not screen tear and all that. I can't even remember what it's called anymore, but you had to go in there and keep tweaking it, and every so often it would still hiccup. And I know they've come a long way too, but they're still not quite there yet. But to me, I plugged the AMD one in there, and I don't have any issues with it. I mean, it just works, and so. But again, it might be, again, that may not be everybody's situation. I have I was going to upgrade this with AM5 right before the prices went goofy, but I'm perfectly happy with what I have. I'm on a 6700 XT. I've got a 5800X CPU, and I mean, they play nice together, and I've got 32 gigs of RAM, and I'm just happy as a camper, and it works great. So.
And switch. Are you running Fedora right? You said you're running Fedora right now, Plasma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, even with the I've got two monitors. I got one turned vertically this way, and and even that's been really good because I love MX, but I think their core MX, the base one that everybody's used to, the XFCE, is an animal of its own. Plasma was fantastic too, but I would run into issues every time I'd have to manually try to tweak settings, because if I bring, I like to split my monitor. I've got a 32 over there, and I've got a 227s here, but it would bleed over. There's always that little bit of bleed over and I couldn't get rid of it. Every time I'd, bring a window over to one side and go to bring the other, it'd bleed over into the other monitor, and it just, so it had little quirks. So I'm not complaining. It's just for whatever reason, that's one of the things I was running into. And again, with having it vertical, so when you think about the bleed over, that's popping up on what would theoretically be the bottom of the screen, even though it's supposed to change orientation or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, that's why I thought, well, if I want to stay on Plasma, I'll just go try Fedora again, because when I went back and years ago when it wasn't Fedora like GTK2 also back in the day, in its early days, because I remember being on Fedora years and years and years ago, and it looked like a lot like the Ubuntu with the GTK2 with the top and bottom bars and or panels, I should say. So
that's probably accurate. I can't remember myself.
Yeah, that's back in early 2000s, mid 2000s, something around that area, I think, because I think it was Ubuntu 6.06 that I started on.
So I want to get to some other things here. So as far as I haven't heard from Jindy yet. Jindy, do you try it?
Yeah, I installed Fedora on VirtualBox, and I had no issues whatsoever with it. It was KDE. It ran great. I'm familiar with Fedora. That's the one I run in DistroBox all the time for some reason. I don't know why. That's the one I pick. I didn't have any issues with it. I liked it. I'm happy with it. I would probably, if I wasn't using MX, I probably would very strongly consider it.
Is there like any particular reason you think, like from your perspective, like what is it just, does it just seem like it's like a solid platform, or was there some specific feature
it
that
seems
really...
stable. Yeah, it does everything you're supposed to do. It seems stable. Nothing hiccuped. It isn't slow. It wasn't sluggish. I didn't have to sit there and futz with it for 2 hours trying to get something to work in VirtualBox. Everything did what it was supposed to do.
Okay. What about you, Rocco?
I, however, did get a chance. Wait a minute, Nate. Let me jump in here for a second.
Sure.
I have no experience with Fedora, so I didn't get a chance to play with it, even if I wanted to.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Rocco, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I mean, I think we're in such a good state right now that I can install Fedora, and like Jinda said, I can get my whole system up and running without any hiccups, without any problems. I have workflow, not issues, but workflow things that I'm still trying to work on to tweak it, to get it to the way I want it. But as far as a running system, it's flawless.
Was there a pixel out of place anywhere? Or?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I mean, there's pixels out of place, but no, I was asking Eric before about, session management and whatnot, like, because KDE has sessions where you can just reboot and everything comes back the way you had it. Every open window, open program comes back. There's nothing like that in GNOME. And there are extensions, but they're not in date, so they don't work with 50 yet. So I think that's maybe it's not a flaw, but it's a situation that Fedora is so rapid in its releases that the extensions don't keep up, and you kind of need extensions with Fedora. I mean, you don't need extensions, but if you're going to please a majority of people with different ideas of how they want their workflow, you kind of need extensions. So, but as far as a working system, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And you went with the GNOME, you said, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I go back and forth with GNOME and KDE and GNOME and KDE, and that's
good though. That's because if you stopped, then that wouldn't be you.
Correct.
So
did he break his system or install it before he came on tonight?
Easy, Joe. Easy.
You're never gonna live that one, though. Sorry.
No, I'm running Fedora now as we speak, and I haven't had a single working issue since I installed it. So
yeah.
Nate.
Yes.
I would like to say one thing Fedora does better than OpenSUSE. And that I know it hurts my feelings too.
Wow.
You don't need a password to add a printer, and you don't have to change your firewall settings to find your home printers.
Yeah.
This is true.
Ooh, I think you got him. I think you got him.
I give that a double thumbs up. Sorry.
So
I do appreciate that.
So there is, you do have to adjust the settings in OpenSUSE to not have the printers be so locked down, like so only admin. But I think you don't have to now if you use the KDE print system.
You do.
You do.
Well, on my previously installed system that I'm running here, you do.
Because
I'll have to try it. I'll have to try it again.
My issue is you by default you couldn't suspend or resume jobs as a user
you couldn't cancel. You couldn't cancel job either.
Right. So that was annoying. Although I think they might have changed that because I have a fresh install and I was able to do that.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, because I could be wrong on that, but I don't remember adjusting those settings. I even wrote an article on my site about adjusting those settings to make it more friendly for the user to do. But you're right. I think Fedora's defaults are probably a lot more user friendly out of the box than OpenSUSE. I know that doesn't bother me to say that because
It is. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's OpenSUSE. At least Tumbleweed is a little more of a blank slate, more like a than it is, I think. Set to paranoid. A blank slate set to paranoid is the. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And honestly, I appreciate not having to put my password in every time I got to do an update. I just attribute it to when I'm passworded before I log in, and
That's
it
good.
just updates. On the opposite side, where Mint is, you'll wear the skin off your knuckles every time you want to do an update on something or install something because it constantly wants, And I know you can put a script in to offset that, but which is not normally recommended. But I don't know which is worse.
So I guess what would you say some highlights? And anyone could kick this in, whatever. There's no, but like, so would you say like are notable highlights of using Fedora?
You addressing anything in specific, or
No, just like what
I
like
think
what
it's
you think?
just. I think there's just an aesthetic to it that is so well thought out and clean and professional, and yeah, it's so well done, and it's so well done by being very like judicious about like not being heavy-handed. They don't like theme things necessarily. I mean, a little bit, just the tiniest bit of wallpaper, that kind of stuff, and it's just enough, right? It's like a dusting of something that makes it Fedora. So it's almost like you get in front of it and it's Fedora. And yeah, and I think the applications that they choose to include, that they have basically support for all the different desktops, and I think it's a pretty impressive project. I love that they try new things, that they get to be the vanguard for foundational technologies, sound systems and stuff like that. That's impressive, that they're willing to take chances like that. And they really have reduced the friction of using the desktop as a normal user, quote unquote, normal user. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is so noticeable now compared to, just a few years ago, like how well thought out everything is, I just think there must be genuinely, some of the most clever, smartest people in the Linux realm are putting time and effort into making Fedora what it is. So,
Anybody else? I think that's really good. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think they do a really good job of not just it's the Fedora project, but it's almost like a Fedora product more than just a project. Like they really thought about those user experience bits.
I think you see that in the little things like the making you update and making you restart when you update, the lock screen, the login screen, the boot screen. It's all like a professional OS. Like it doesn't look like somebody just put it together yesterday. It looks very, very professional.
And I'd like to say, as somebody who's bashed Fedora for probably a decade because I didn't like their installer and I didn't like their integration of KDE Plasma, I got to say this Fedora 44 KDE Plasma is rock solid. I love it.
Yeah.
The installer is great. The integration of KDE Plasma is great.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and I'll say, because like I did the Cosmic Spin, because I'm not always the biggest KDE fan, although Fedora I think does do it the best. And their Cosmic Spin is very well polished. I actually think it's better than current Pop OS, and I think that just System 76 needs to hurry up and give us 2604. But it's a very nice experience. It's polished. It has all the pieces it needs and nothing it doesn't. I think they do a good job at moving fast, but not so fast as to break things. Just overall, they do a pretty good job. I was talking to Dale in the chat about Fedora used to be such a pain in the butt. Like the last time I really used it was back at like version 27, and I had an NVIDIA card at a 1070, And doing anything with media codecs and doing anything with NVIDIA on Fedora back then was just like extracting teeth without any numbing agent. Like, it was just bad. There was no other words for it. And in the last few years, I've noticed that there are people there that seem to have quietly taken notice about that and have just, you know, when you install the KDE or the GNOME version, you got, hey, you want RPM Fusion, you'd like to enable these repositories. You know, they give you easy ways to get your media codecs to be a lot easier than it used to be. You need your NVIDIA driver, you just install the NVIDIA driver. Like, those are quality of comforts that they just didn't have a few years ago.
Yeah, the NVIDIA potato back there. It's the first time Fedora has worked with NVIDIA drivers for me.
Yeah, and I think the hardware integration is really good on it too, because it's Bluetooth. You know, I've got an Xbox controller. I can run it wirelessly. You know, all the things I've thrown at it, it finds with no issues. You know, the fact that as soon as you install, it'll find any printers, you know, things like that. And it's just, I mean, it's just very well versed, I think, with everything. Like I said, it's like any other Linux distro, you know, you got to give them grace sometimes when something does happen. And when that break happened that particular night with those updates, it was just I think kind of a fluky thing, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole in the back of my mind knowing that it was probably just going to be a simple fix, and I just stayed off of it for the brunt of the day. But by the time I came back, and it was right back up and running again. So it was just a simple package goof up or something. That I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that happened to a package that was released. But you know, that's the other thing too. I think there's peace of mind of who's behind this too. You know, you hear pros and cons to both. Oh, you know, big corporate, you know, corporations and all this other stuff. But I do think there's something to be said for having a company behind the system if you want to have, you know, the resources and the stability. Because that's how often do we hear that? Oh, you know, Linux doesn't have the support like it would have a big corporation behind it, like Microsoft or whatever. That, you know, no, it's got it better. It's got worldwide support usually, you know, with things. But you know, with people, somebody out there will help you with it. But in a case like this, yes, there's, you know, this Manjaro, whatever. So I think there's something to be said for that, and I just think it is very, very well put together too. Is it the best distro out there? There's no best distro. The only best distro is the one that you find that you like the best, I think.
Well, I was going to argue with you on that one, but I'm not. So
why? Because it's not green.
I didn't say that. The one piece of the credit that I will give Fedora that I really like. So and this is like comparing Fedora to Leap, and maybe Leap could fix this. Maybe it has fixed it now with 16. But going from Fedora 43 to Fedora 44, it's just a click. You don't have to do all. There's not a dance you have to do in the background to make it work. It just does. It takes care of the updates to the next version, and I think that is wonderful. That's a real great feature that it has, and I appreciate that.
So Nate, why
yes?
are you not switching to Fedora from OpenSUSE?
So there's really only one reason why I wouldn't switch to Fedora. One, I think DNF is really good. I still think Zypper is a little bit better, but I think DNF is really pretty much on par. But the real reason is by default, it doesn't have Btrfs with the snapshotting and rollback. You get something very similar with like Bazite, and you can, like, if the update fails, you can go back to the old one. That's as close as they got. This is why I like Bazite. But I don't want immutable. And so I think when I filter out all the features that are important to me, that's actually the one that's pretty key. And also, it keeps multiple versions of kernels. So let's say, because you always get the latest kernel, I can write from boot. Like if let's say something broke the Bluetooth drivers, because that happens it seems like every once in a while the Bluetooth drivers, there's a regression in them. Don't know why. They fix something and upstream, and then when it trickles down, it breaks, you know, down below until it gets fixed. So I can, at boot up, just go to an older kernel, and I can just keep running as it was. Or because I still like to play and mess around with my system, and this is my main system, and so I can't be down for any period of time really. And if I have to roll
As
back,
y'all can see, I'm back at Bushy.
if I have to roll back,
Okay.
that
wasn't me. That was Adam.
Oh, it was Adam. Yeah.
I'm throwing you under the bus.
If I have to roll back to like an older version because maybe something I don't like about the latest, whatever, I can do that. And so that's really what it boils down to for me. It's just that flexibility, the kind of the undo button basically for everything that I could possibly break on my system. And that's really it for me. And I think
I'll add you on.
What's that?
I'll add you one to that. The open build system is amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, Fedora is using the OpenSUSE QA system now, the OpenQA.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they have for about 10 years now. Because remember, Fedora for quite a while it was not a very good time for a while. But they actually, because the communities work together, and so they implemented that over there, and that really helped a lot of things out over on that.
Didn't know that. It's good to know.
Yeah, it was actually Richard Brown on OpenSUSE. He actually, remember him saying something. He's contributed more to like the Fedora for a while. There, he's contributing more to Fedora's open QA system than on the OpenSUSE one for a while, and he's on the OpenSUSE board at the time. So anyway, was on a podcast from talking about it. So, but that's really it. I think it's one little thing, but at the same time, I think because Fedora does hold back a little bit, like Joe was saying, they do some other vetting now before they push it out, and then also you don't have the same cadence of updates as you do on Tumbleweed. That need for that Butterfest rollback might be less important, I think. And there's some arguments you can make for why it's not important in other situations too, but that's a whole other. There's a lot of nuance on that, but that's pretty much it. It just doesn't quite fit what I want. That's it.
In fairness, they do keep a couple of kernels going in here, though. I mean, if you had to roll back or whatever. So, and then eventually we'll drop them out as the next big one comes up and things like that. So, but as far as the backup, like you're talking, or the rollback, yeah, that is the one thing that I'd like to see in here. I actually threw Pika backup in here, and it's been fine, but it's still not the same thing as what you're describing. I get that.
But at the same time, Fedora does have a really neat thing with the package, which Zipper doesn't do, that I don't think it does, is you can actually roll your packages back too with Fedora. And that's also a very cool feature that I really greatly appreciate. So I'd like to basically combine the features. You can actually use DNF on OpenSUSE if you wanted to, and vice versa. That's actually a possibility, but I just don't do it. I just leave it Zipper. But so I could have that feature I wanted to, it's just not a default feature.
And
it's
almost like the KDE GNOME thing. Like if we could just combine the good features of both of them.
I don't know what the good features of GNOME are, though. That's the problem.
Oh man, I wanted to say that.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Thank you for saying that for me.
Well, I remember the KDE Neon days, so Rocco.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's like anything else. It's just sometimes it's fun just to give something else a try, But for me, it's on a different machine, so I don't mess up what I've got going here. But
yeah.
I mean, I've actually, now that I think about it, I've got to admit something. I have Fedora GNOME version on a little GMK Tech mini PC that I use in my back room as a little HTPC. I'm not on it very often, but I have it there because that's the one place I think that GNOME does a good job, is because when you want to have something on a 40-something inch screen, you can upscale it a lot better and not feel that desktop version of, like a KDE or, XFCE doesn't really work in an environment like that, where GNOME feels almost like just it's meant for that.
So
I've been using Fedora for a minute now, and I gotta just say, man, it's boring and I love it. Like, it just works. It just does what I want. I think all the points you guys have made are pretty spot on, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just use it.
Yeah, and that I think is probably the highest
And
praise
that's-
you can say is I just use it.
100%. Yep. I was just going to say the same thing. If you have any interest in changing because there's nothing else that you could imagine it doing it better than what you're used to. And I mean, Joe, to your point, like I don't want to hop anymore. I want to find that one, like Adam's saying, where it's just like, this is the one that I can just sit down reliably, get the thing done I want to do. And that's it, minimal amount of effort to maintain for the maximum amount of, stability and enjoyment.
Yeah,
Pretty rad distro. I mean, like, they've done a good job at like a nice base to the system and everything, and it's pretty wide supported too. Because I work with a lot of like random stuff that won't be in the repos and all of that, but I haven't really ran into anything that I've struggled to get running. Whether it be through the repos or maybe there's some copper repo. Hopefully not. I don't have to deal with that, but. Many places do RPMs, like even official folks like Microsoft provide RPMs for a lot of their stuff. Homebrew, I use that for a lot of packages that I don't want to deal with, like integrating into for example, Python stuff is a pain to deal with, the dependencies. So I just do that stuff through Homebrew, easier, and it's well supported. And I don't know, like all the stuff that I do, it just seems to just work, and it's always like available and compatible, and I don't even like really think about it. If it's just like, hey, if there's a Linux version, there's probably a Fedora RPM, or it'll just work on Fedora. Like it's wonderful for that reason. That's why I just boot into it and just use it. I don't even think about it. We're talking about the updates and stuff, and it's like, well, I just reboot my machine at the end of the day or in the morning when I start. It's whoop-de-doo, and I just use it. It's just there.
Yeah.
The same with Windows
That is the
or
truth,
Mac.
though,
I just
because-
use it. I don't think about it.
Yeah, and even though you do have to reboot for updates, which again is probably, like you're saying, the best thing, it is so much faster than like, don't use Windows for a month or two and then boot back into it, and then and ignore the updates at first because you're trying to get something done. Eventually, you're going to pay that technical debt of needing to
The
run
Windows
that
updates
stuff.
aren't the
You're gonna-
problem. It's every app has its own updater on Windows, right? And you're gonna launch the app, and they're like, "Hey, you got a new update for this app." And you're launching the app.
Well, even if you're using
so
something
even-
like Unigit or Chocolatey or something, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you have multiple package managers, right? Some packages are in Scoop, some are in Winget, some are in Chocolatey.
Yep.
So even then you have your npm and other stuff, but yeah, it's much like, I think I'll take a little reboot for all of my updates rather than having to go piecemeal one
No
by
doubt.
one to update everything.
No doubt. Yep. 100%.
Small price.
Very much so. Yep.
So I just realized we're like way past time.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah,
Right.
I wasn't either. So I so that so I did promise Ben a thing, but before we do that, is there anything that anybody would like a last like firing off comment about Fedora before we move on to housekeeping?
Just did it.
Fire off something like fireworks, like somebody's kids just did, and somebody's upset about it. Anyway,
Oh shoot!
so probably shouldn't have admitted that on YouTube. So anyway, Fedora, I highly recommend check it out. If if you just want to play with something, see if it fits. It's really good. I really like their KDE. It's pretty top notch. In fact, even though it hurts a little bit, my oldest son, he runs Fedora instead of OpenSUSE now. But he only
It's
updates
traitor.
I know, right? Actually, I'm totally happy with it. In fact, so I installed it just to install it, and then I've been using it on his for quite a while now. So I've got like a lot of long-standing opinions about it, and it really is. It really would be my. It's like my second place distribution that I would use. Like it's number 2. It just misses out on a few key points, but it's really pretty rad. It really is. So
yeah,
tubular even. All right.
Yeah.
So
yes.
All right. So thank you very much for that, everybody. So housekeeping, real quick. Get to that next week. Open mic night. So whatever topics. If you want to continue Fedora conversations, we can do that. If you want to talk something specific, is anything really exciting you guys want to talk about, like maybe the death of physical media. Is that something we care about? Anyway, we can talk about that next week. Open mic night. If you have any suggestions, whether they're distribution suggestions, application, poll ideas, whatever floats your boat, send them to suggestions at linuxsaloon.com, or you can tag it as a suggestion, whatever, in the Discord or Telegram. All right. So real quick, Ben, we got like 30 seconds or so.
I'll try to be quick.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So here's the deal. So the laptop that's right in front of me that I've been doing some stuff on for the past couple of years, I want to say 7 years, is finally kicking the bucket. I had to get a new one, which I actually linked in the Discord. It cost my dad about $850, and it's coming in on Tuesday. It's my birthday gift to myself. I am very excited for it. And the one caveat is, guys, it only has one SSD in there, and it's going to be primarily a gaming laptop. I am going to build StormOS on it in a VM, because here's the thing. It's still got the warranty on it, and honestly, I don't want to wipe the darn thing. So, unless I get a separate SSD in the sucker, I will do that eventually. But, I want to run it as it is for right now. So I'm not putting my distro on there until I get, a separate SSD in the sucker. That's just how it's going to be. That's it.
Okay. Oh, well, interesting.
But that's my news for this week. And hopefully next week I'll have a bit more of an update on it. And I will be demoing it next week during Open.
You see, I thought you were going to give me an update on StormOS because I saw you changed your name yet again in Discord. StormOS and SWG returns. So I thought it was news on that. But if it's just a laptop,
I will have one.
You're leaving me
for
July.
You
leave me a little bit like on the,
I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger
here.
This week because I'm doing that on purpose because I wanted to talk about the laptop more than StormOS tonight.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Well, thanks, Ben. All right. So it is the last call, and we have go around the horn here, and if anyone had anything like they wanted to say as on a way out, I know that you, Dale, you've been doing a little bit more prolific lately.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I did 4 or 5 videos last week, and I'm working on content for this week, but nothing has published.
Sweet. I get it. Working on content for a long time, I can't seem to get anything done. I get it.
Oh, God.
Well, thanks for being here, Dale. Hopefully I didn't over-email you this week either.
Over email? What the hell is that?
No, it's all good. It's another thing I'm working on is I might turn that article you did into a video.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you do that, that'd be great. I'd love to see that. Sweet. All right. Eric. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Rocco made sure he grabbed me by the scruff of the neck, and I was going to be here anyway, but I was glad to hear that he was going to be here, and this is awesome. I love it, and I don't have anything, so I'll let you move on.
Alrighty.
Thank you for hosting, as always.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. Yeah, missed Zeb tonight. He wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
So, anyway. And then other Mike, full scale Mike.
Yeah, I'm doing the continuing updating of the MX Wiki. I've been spending a lot of time getting rid of the old stale articles, so search results are improved. They get on topic. Somebody said overburdened with mails. When I was an email admin in Fortune 100, a good day with a spam attack was 1,300 mails per day.
Wow. That's fun. The good old days of dealing with that crap, huh?
I don't miss it.
Well, thanks for being here. Jinda.
Yes, Nate.
Glad you could be here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so always good. And still loving your
She was looking really clean cut.
Yeah, he looks a little different today. What do you Go on a
You
date or
look a
something?
little clean cut, you know.
No, because I've been gone for a couple of weeks. You guys never noticed that I got a haircut.
Oh,
And I actually bathed today. You know, and
Oh,
Ooh,
see that had to
smart
be it.
boy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
Did you
was
change
Well,
the water? Did you
I was
change?
I
gonna
used
say
the
it's
water.
Saturday, you know, so he had to
Yeah,
take a bath today.
yeah.
Good
It
thing
was
there's no
Saturday bath
smell-o-vision.
day.
that's special Saturday, huh?
Yep,
Clorox.
just for you guys. You know, even though you
Yeah.
can't smell anything, I figured I might as well do it.
Well, if we went back to Zoom, we could smell each other there. So that's what we're staying on Discord.
Yeah.
God,
By
you
the way, thanks
boys
for
are
being here.
crazy.
Yes. Rocco, so glad you could join us. I know your time is
Oh.
precious, you know.
Hey, look, time is precious right now, but no, I want to say hats off to the Fedora team for a wonderful distribution, a wonderful operating system, really. It's pretty awesome, and I know that obviously Fedora's behind it, but there's so many people behind the scenes that contribute, and I just want to say thank you to all of them for it because it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I agree. Well, thanks for being here. And Joe, you came in late, but you came in strong, so
Yeah,
appreciate you
that's
being
just
here.
me, right?
Yes.
Thanks. Well, and part of it too is when I saw Fedora 40, well, there's a couple of reasons, but anyway, yeah, I had been on in a while, and I thought it'd be a good thing to just come in and say hi and all that stuff too. And you know me, I'm opinionated when I have. Anyway, it's still like I said earlier. The only when I see people asking what's the best distro, especially newbies that want to come into this, there's always the classic, you should try Mint, you should try, and that's fine, and there's truth to that. But it's going to come down to the best distro is the one that you like the best. I mean, it's the one that you settle on, the one that you find works best for your workflow, for your hardware, and all of that. And that, as much as we all hear that Linux has too many choices, the beauty of that though allows people to get on it or try it or keep hardware going that otherwise would wind up in a e-waste or landfill or wherever, so to me that's the one thing that I will always say that Linux has going for it, aside from any other system out there, is that older hardware can still be kept alive and save the environment, if you will, a little bit, and that kind of thing. So but to me, mostly the biggest thing for me is the community that comes out of this too, and the friendships. It's been really a good experience, and nothing else. There's that. So, but thanks for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Always a
Always
pleasure,
welcome.
Joe.
Thank you.
Warthunder, thanks for
Howdy, Nate.
kind of stepping in there for me in the beginning there without any warning. So appreciate that.
No problem. I can tell you my laptop does post again, so it's not broken. It does work.
That's awesome.
For whatever reason, I have to put the RAM back in a special order, a particular order. Like, I took it out and I was like, I'll put the large RAM stick up front, and that doesn't work. So it won't boot with the Crucial in there, and it won't boot with this one. So I need to go look at the memory speeds and see if maybe I done goofed. But it'll go back in the way it came out. So we're going to go with that, and then in 2 or 3 years when we forget, then we'll come back, and then we'll forget again, and then it won't post.
Well, if you want to write an article on cubicle8.com on the order, I'm all for it.
In theory, memory speed shouldn't stop it from booting, though. Just so you know.
It shouldn't. I don't know why it wants the RAM stick. It came with the factory in the first slot. But hey, you know what? As long as it has the RAM right now, I'll just leave it. I'll come back later, which is probably never, and deal with it at that point. I think I'm good with 48 gigs of RAM. I think I'll survive somehow.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right with that. Yeah. Anyway, so thanks for being here, Adam.
Good times.
Appreciate you coming in and laying out your, I don't know, whatever you have to say.
Yeah, I have things that I say, words, sentences,
I like
structures. Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, it's all good.
So thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
And Mike, kind of quiet tonight. Mike Chilson of the Chilson variety.
I'm just absorbing, and
Okay.
I don't appreciate Adam laying his thing out. Okay, I'm just gonna say that right now.
Look, man, you knew what this was.
I knew exactly what it was, Adam.
You knew what this was.
No, I'm doing okay. Hadn't had a whole lot of free time, but I've been doing a little work, and some of my free time got ate up helping some guy trying to figure out why Marklight wouldn't run on some obscure little desktop. I don't know.
Oh, there was that guy. What an annoying guy that was. Yeah.
I know, right?
What a turd that just sucked up your time.
Hey, I learned a lot from that, actually.
For context, I'm working on an old netbook because of our Quark OS discussion we had some weeks back. I wanted to play around with Trinity and LXQt again, and I was having some issues with LXQt and Marklight, and so we kind of worked those out. Anyway, that was it, and I went back and forth on that one for a little bit. So anyway, that's all it was.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It was interesting. Just to give a quick recap of what happened was apparently when you launch an application by like opening a file, like if you double click on a .md file, it looks at the desktop, the whatever .desktop file for that association, and looks for the parameter. And it can pass the parameter two ways, either as a URI or as an actual file system path. And apparently on some of these lighter weight desktops, a lot of them don't handle the URI very well. They want the path. So if you ever have that problem, you just go into the desktop file and change the parameter from U% to F%, and then it just works.
Yep, that's all it was. One little thingy.
Yep.
So good times. Anyway, so thanks for that. All right, thank you everyone in the YouTube for hanging out this long. Appreciate being a part of the conversation and helping me derail things a little bit here and there, and that's great. So also thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Discord meeting and YouTube stream, as well as for everyone for watching Shout Out to the Fact. And also Leo, who was here earlier, check him out at linuxuserspace.show. He's also done stuff with Mintcast. I don't know if he does anything else right now too, does he? Anyway, but check that out. linuxuserspace.show. So however you are a part of this, with a conversation, YouTube, Discord, really appreciate it. And all those watching Show After the Fact. Also want to thank everyone involved in making Linux open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also have fun and enjoy technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by, and be sure to tip. Be sure to Linux. Thank you for stopping by. Please be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.